Hi there, welcome to the Senior Accountant's Guide to Tax and Accounts. My name's Louise Harrington, and for this section we're looking at how to pay your self-assessment tax bill. So, where to start? Okay, so there's a little calendar here to show you what money needs to be paid when. I'm just taking 2019-20 tax year as an example. So if you wanted to look at the 2020-21 tax year, just add an extra year onto all these dates. So the tax year ends on the 5th of April 2020. By the 31st of July, a second payment on account is needed that would have arisen when you did your 2018-19 tax return. There is a separate video on what payment on account is all about, so I suggest that you can look that up on YouTube on my channel. By the 31st of October 2020, if you are going to be doing a paper tax return, that is the deadline. Most people nowadays are doing online tax returns, or their accountant is doing online tax returns for them. But things like partnerships, if you don't have specialist software, then you will need to file your partnership return by the 31st of October. Doesn't mean to say you have to file your tax return by the 31st of October. If you have a partner form, that can still be done electronically on the HMRC website. Now, there is a deadline that many people don't realise, in that the 30th of December 2020 is a key date if you want to get your tax bill paid through your PAYE coding. This is possible if you have less than £3,000 to pay the taxman. So your tax return will have to be filed electronically by the 30th of December 2020, or you can still do a paper one, but it would have had to have been made by the 31st of October. Come the 31st of January, that is when you have to have submitted your self-assessment tax return. It is also the date you need to pay your self-assessment tax return, including any payment on account for the next tax year. Okay, so everything has to be paid. Your Class 2 national insurance has to be paid by the 31st of January 2021 in this case. If you do not pay your Class 2 national insurance by that date, HMRC will remove it from your tax return, and you will not have collected 1 year of payments for your state pension and benefits. So that bit at least must be paid by the 31st of January. Okay. There are various ways you can pay your tax return. So if you'd like to go to that URL, that is where you'll see all these options. So there are things that keep dropping out. For example, you used to be able to pay by personal credit card. That is not an option anymore. We think it's because they couldn't charge credit card fees or admin fees for it. But that's me being cynical. They do not allow you to pay a personal credit card. You also now, for some strange reason, you can't actually go to the post office and pay it. Really weird. So the options that are available are direct debit. So you can set up via your online account a direct debit payment, and you can set it that it just takes one payment from you. You can do your online bank transfer if you've got online banking, so direct to their bank account. You can also phone them and pay by personal debit card. I think you can also probably pay by personal debit card on the online account. You can go into your bank, but you will need to have a remittance slip to do that. Or you can do the checks in the post and you can create a remittance slip. And there are various things, installments and budget plans, etc. So let's take the easiest one, which is your online bank transfer from your banking app. So these are the two accounts. So always check the website before you just run it with these, just in case things have changed. cannot be held responsible for any change of bank that HMRC might put through. So please check the website to make sure there aren't any errors or the website, the bank account hasn't changed. Your payment to make will be on your remittance slip if you filed your tax return early enough and HMRC have sent you a statement. You would have had to have filed by October, maybe November, in order to get one, but it's not automatically sent. I haven't worked out what the trigger is yet for them to send you a statement and not sending a statement. So I always go on the fact that look at your calculation of what's been calculated. If you have a tax agent, look at what they've sent you as to how much you need to pay. If you're looking at the January one, and if you've got a payment on account, don't forget you may have made one last year, so the HMRC calculation will tell you what your in-year tax bill is and your future payment on account. It does not tell you what you've already got sitting there. So some people forget that they've already made a payment and pay everything all over again. So therefore they've mega overpaid HMRC. Well, that's fine if you know you can get it back, but a lot of people don't realise you can get it back. But there is another video on how to actually claim an overpayment, so get a tax refund. Woohoo! So if you don't have a remittance slip, then the instructions above the account codes on the HMRC website clearly states if you don't know where to pay it into Cumbernauld. The number of people I get saying, but where do I pay it to? Where do I pay it to? And they don't read the line above to say pay into Cumbernauld. So there you go. So if you have no official remittance slip from HMRC, pay into Cumbernauld. You must quote your reference number, which is your unique tax reference number, followed by a K. The K indicates that it is self-assessment. If you don't put a reference number in there, HMRC will have it sitting in their suspense account, not knowing where to allocate it to, and you would have to fight them to say, I have paid, please get rid of my fines, etc. They should be able to trace it, but it might take some time. So make sure when you do pay, you put your unique tax reference number as the reference, followed by a K. It takes 72 hours for the payment to go through, so there's no point in making a payment from your bank account directly to HMRC, then logging into your tax account expecting to see the payment there. It will not be there. You'll see it within 72 hours when you go and look at your account, and you should then be able to see the account balance has dropped, and there should be a note to say the date payment had been received. So always make sure you give 72 hours before you start to look at it and go, where's my money? Okay. Payments must be by the end of banking day. And I know this is a very old-fashioned term, but it really needs to be in by 3:30 p.m. Monday to Friday. So if the tax payment deadline, the 31st of January, is on a Sunday, you need to make sure you pay it by 3:30 on the Friday. There are ways around it, and certain types of payments will get credited the date it leaves your account, but just in case, make sure it leaves your account and can get to them by 3:30 that payment date. Just be safe. That's all I can say. Just stay safe. So to pay by debit card, you'll need to log into your personal account. So I will show you how to do that later on in this video. And as I stated before, you cannot use a personal credit card anymore. Payment will be taken in full. So if you don't want to pay in full, you need to find a different method of payment. So I would suggest then that you would like to pay by online banking and not go by the debit card. If you do make it by debit card, and it is after 3:30 p.m. or a Saturday and Sunday, for this method of payment, the HMRC have stated they will accept the payment on the date you made it and not the date it actually arrived into their account. So if it happens to be a bank holiday, if it happens to be a weekend, they will take it from the date it left your account. Okay, and this does vary depending on the method. All right. Payment at the bank. If you physically go to the bank wanting to make a payment, you must have the official paying in slip from HMRC, and this is on the bottom of the statement they send you, if they send you a statement. Okay, they are normally sent out, late November, early December. I have seen some come out in January, but as I said, there is no kind of way of knowing who will get a statement and who will not get a statement. Make sure it's made out to HM Revenue and Customs, and you need to put on your 11-character payment reference, which is your unique tax reference number. Again, it is based on the date you paid it. So if you're physically going to a bank, most banks close 3:30. If you're lucky, some of them might stay open to 4:30. So if you've got it to the bank by the end of their business day, then they will accept that it was done. But it's only Monday to Friday. I know some banks did go through a whole process of opening Saturday, but if you did go into a bank physically to pay it on a Saturday, it would not count because it's only Monday to Friday. As I said, it's all very confusing. You can still put a cheque in the post. Yeah, hey, I like that one. The cheque must be made out again to HMRC or Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, and you must have your 11-character reference on it. The 11-character reference being 10 characters of your new unique tax reference number followed by a K. You post it in an envelope. I know these things do exist. You post it to HMRC, and it literally, the whole address is direct and then followed by a postcode. There is no other address. That's it. It will get there. You can create your own remittance slip, and it needs to go with a remittance slip. There's no point in just posting a cheque. Even with the number on it, they won't accept it. So the next few screens will take you through how to create that payment slip. And again, HMRC will accept proof of postage for I think that might be a mistake. They probably won't accept proof of postage as it hasn't been received by them. So I think that is a typo. But you can always check if you want to read into the real details behind payments on the HMRC website. So, how to create the payment slip. All right. So there is that link from the page before. You go onto that, and this is how you create it. So you're going to enter your name. Hopefully you know your name. Enter your phone number, and then enter your unique tax reference number. The system has already put a K on it, so you don't have to remember to enter the K. You don't have to put your national insurance number in there. If you want to make sure, doubly it gets there, or if there's some kind of problem, at least they've got a different reference number for you. And then you need to make sure you tell them it's a January or a July payment and what year you're paying. Finally, the amount you're going to pay, and then click Create Payslip. Obviously, I've taken out all the data here, and that's what the payment slip would look like. And you can then literally print the payslip, but you need to print it to a physical printer. There's no point in printing it to a PDF unless you just want to keep a copy to say this is what I sent. Some people like to belt and braces. They will print this, and they'll also take a photocopy of the cheque they've sent and will date that piece of paper as to when they physically put it in the post. So that is creating your payslip. There are instalment options, especially for the 2019-20 tax year, for the coronavirus. So you must have actually filed the tax return, and you can then set up a time to pay agreement if you cannot pay it on time, or you can set up a budget plan if you're trying to pay before it's actually due. Now, there are limits to this. You can only pay up to £30,000 if you do on the budget plan, and you cannot have any other plan outstanding at the moment, and you can decide how much you want to pay them. So in the ideal world, you could turn around and say, hello, I've got a £12,000 tax bill. Not £12,000 is ideal, but you can then just turn around and say, I want to pay it £1,000 instalments. You only have a few months to pay in. That's fine. You could turn around and say, I'm going to pay it in £2,000 and get rid of it in 6 months. So it is completely up to you. They will suggest how much. And if you're doing a time to pay agreement, you must have it set up on a direct debit. And as soon as you default on any payment on that payment plan, they will make the demand that you repay the whole amount in full, well, the outstanding amount in full within X number of days. So to set up one of these, if it was to do with your 19-20 tax return, you can do it via your online account, because the instalment option is there specifically for COVID affected people, or you can call the payment support service on the number 0300 200 3822, but it has to be done before the payment is due. It cannot be done after. Time to pay is after, budget payment plan is before. Okay, so what we're going to do, we are going to log into our personal account or our business account, and we're actually going to then make a payment. So again, you access it via this link here. So you'll be able to click on that link and access, well, obviously probably not the video, you might have to copy and paste. So access your account, log in, 12 characters, which could be a combination of letters and numbers or just numbers, and then click sign in. All right. If you don't think you've got an online account, then there is a different video to how to set one up. So hopefully you do have access to your online account and you haven't just left it all to your accountant or tax agent to do. So what we're going to do, you're going to navigate to your business tax account. Mine automatically goes to the business tax account. If you've gone into a personal tax account, you'll find there is a bit more of a menu along here, and it will say business tax account, so you can log into the business one. So we definitely want the business tax account. That's what it looks like. You want to scroll down until you get to the self-assessment section, and it will tell you how much you need to pay. But what you must do is A, write down your self-assessment unique tax reference number, just in case, but B, more importantly, you must write down the amount you owe, and it will tell you how much you owe to the 31st of January. Okay, so they're the important things. Write it down. So that's the ability there to do the direct debit. The bank transfer is the second option, but I'm actually going to take you through the debit card one. Okay, so there are obviously other ways you can pay, but this specific video is just for debit cards. Now, if you did want to go for direct debit, it can take up to 4 or 5 days for it to process it. So don't try and do that one if you're in a rush. It will tell you the earliest date it can pay it, and if that's after the deadline, it's not HMRC's fault you've paid it late, it's your fault. So go to the debit card. Okay, so press continue. Okay, Now, pretty obvious you're not going to have a corporate credit card, but it just comes up in the same screen. So there are no fees if you are going to pay by debit card or by bank transfer. Okay. Corporate credit cards, they can charge a fee for, but obviously you won't have a corporate credit card. Personal credit cards, people are not allowed to charge fees for, which is why they've got rid of it. Okay. And always, 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 if you're doing by debit card, make sure you've got at least 3 days for it to go through. Now, I know when I do my bank transfer, it automatically defaults to faster payment, so it's there within 2 hours. Debit card, you would have thought the same, but just putting in some leeway, leave it for 3 days. Or make sure you've got 3 days available. Click continue. And then it wants you to put in the amount you want to pay. Now, my logical head says, well, surely it should carry forward the number from the prior screen, but it doesn't. It asks you what you want to pay in case you don't want to pay it all. You might not be able to afford to pay it all, and you might decide to pay a certain amount now and then go into some kind of payment plan. That's absolutely fine. They've got some money, and you can utilise that and do 2 different methods of payment. 3 if you fancy. Yeah. Okay, so enter the amount to pay and continue. And then it wants you to put in the address that's related to that debit card. Okay, there is no search facility. Normally when you're filling in an HMRC form, it will say search address. You put in the number and the postcode. No idea why this doesn't, but okay. So it's enter your address as to where the credit card is available to, and then enter your email address in case there's any issues. You don't have to. In case there's a problem, I would rather that they emailed me and told me there was a problem and I work out whether that's spam or not, rather than not paying it and then find I've got a whole load of fines and late penalty fees because I didn't realise I hadn't actually paid it. Okay. So it allows you to check your details. Obviously, again, I have removed it because protecting the innocent, that's me. And it will tell me the tax reference I'm paying against and the amount I am paying. The billing address will be there, but obviously I've taken it out. So that's not quite it. You do have to enter your card details. So these are now entering your debit card details. So you click through that and you think, okay, I can do it. Do I really want to pay it? Oh, okay, all right. Click on Pay Now. And then it tells you that you have made the payment and the reference number you have quoted. It doesn't give any kind of receipt, etc. It just goes, okay, so you've done it. What happens now? I would actually download that and save as a PDF, and I would date the PDF as the date you paid it, because at least then there's some evidence to say, yes, I did pay. So that's the option here. And then we are done. It gives you a warning. It's going to take 3 to 5 days to show on your account. Well, the idea of that being is it takes up to 3 days in theory for the payment to go through, and then it normally takes 72 hours for it to appear on your account. And that there is how you pay. You end up going back to your business tax summary, and none of it will change. So although this one here says it takes 3 to 5 days to show in your account, this one says it will take up to 7 working days. So it's like, take whichever one you want. So there you go. So that is how you pay your tax bill using various different methods, and the instructions there were using the debit card to go through. I have to say, most people would normally pay by online banking, but of course you might not have online banking. Okay, hope that helps, and any problems, feel free to drop me an email. Thanks then, bye bye.